Like and subscribe on the way in the door, people. Today, we are going to be talking about my favorite boxer of all time, Mike Tyson. And for those of you who grew up watching Mike Tyson, you know that that was the greatest, most frustrating thing that you could watch, especially if you paid your money to see it on pay-per-view, because it was very likely that if you got up to use the bathroom, you were gonna miss the fight. Tyson was that dominant, which leads me to this. This is the point I want to make about Tyson. You know, for those of us who grew up watching it, you know there was this narrative about Tyson back then, especially early on in his career, that he wasn't fighting anybody, you know. And my thing is this: that's the price of greatness. When you are so far ahead of everybody, the only way people can justify it is by saying your competition couldn't have been that good. But my thing is this: there were other boxers in that same era who did not make the name for themselves that Tyson made. You know, I equate that same thing to Jordan, you know, them trying to diminish Michael Jordan's competition. So when you are that much greater, the only way people can justify it is by saying your competition couldn't have been that great. But there were plenty of other great boxers back then who were coming up along that same time. You had Riddick Bowe and Holyfield, and, you know, Holyfield eventually made a name for himself. But, you know, I would argue, but besides Mike Tyson's loss to Buster Douglas, you know, which, if you know the story, you know it was a lot going on in Tyson's life. But at any rate, well, not only was there a lot going on in Tyson's life, but if you know the story, you know that Buster Douglas's mom had passed, I believe. And so, you know, if that has happened to you, you're probably as numb as you can get, and you're fighting, which means that you were already hurting as bad as you could be hurt, if that makes sense. You know, if your mother just passed and you're in the ring, can't nobody hurt you more than the pain you're already feeling. So to me, that night was just kind of like everything lined up, and it was unfortunate circumstances in Buster Douglas's life that led to him being one of the few people who can say they actually beat Tyson in his prime. Because while Holyfield beat Tyson, to me, Tyson was kind of already, I don't want to say he was out of his prime, but I think he was out of his prime mentally. I'll say it that way. Physically, he was still a beast, but mentally, I think he was past his prime. Like, so much had happened during it. And I don't want to take, Holyfield was a great fighter with great heart. But like I said, if you grew up watching Tyson, you know that Tyson fighting Holyfield was not quite the Tyson we all came up watching knocking everybody out. Like, he looked super impatient, and I think at that time Tyson had kind of just really got used to knocking everybody out, because it, you know, that's the way his fights would go. But so yeah, and you know, and then after he went to jail and came out, I just felt like we were seeing a different Tyson. You know, even though he came out swole and whatnot, we were seeing a different Mike Tyson at that point. But anyway, yeah, I just kind of wanted to reminisce a bit about Mike Tyson. And, you know, like I said, to me, when you are really great, the only way people can justify it is by diminishing your competition and saying that your competition couldn't have been that great. But, you know, Tyson was that great. And he's my favorite boxer. Now, I wouldn't necessarily put him as the greatest of all time because I kind of still hold Muhammad Ali to that. But I will say one thing. I don't think none of these new boxers could fade Tyson. Tyson in his prime, none of these new boxers could get with him. Anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Thank you all to those who subscribe and like my videos. I sincerely appreciate it. We're going to be trying to do a lot of great things on this channel coming up in the future as we grow. So y'all have a good day, and I'll catch you next time.